The US women's national team are favourites to win Olympic soccer gold. Today is their send-off match against old foes Canada from Sandy, Utah. That's coming up next, but first we send you to New York for an NBC Sports update. Is this close to kickoff at Rio Tinto Stadium. It's the send-off game this afternoon for the USA against Canada as we wave them goodbye and wish them all the best for London 2012. The lineups are next. Welcome back to Rio Tinto Stadium. The teams readying themselves to enter the fray. A baking hot day in Utah. Hope Solo with just one clean sheet in her last 7 appearances. Talked to us yesterday about improving the defence for the US team going in to London 2012. She said this team is at an 8 out of 10 right now. By the time they land in the United Kingdom, she hopes they'll be at a 10. Christy Rampone, captain of the United States, 37 years old. This will be her 260th appearance for the United States women's national team. An extraordinary servant. Crowd building here. It's the home of Real Salt Lake in Major League Soccer. The Canadians are the visitors, preparing for their second Olympic Games. And here come the players out onto the field. Time for the national anthems before we get underway, and of course it's guests first. Ladies and gentlemen, the scene is set. It's the USA against Canada. A send-off friendly before the Olympic Games. It's rarely friendly between these two cross-border fans. Pearson Hager is the coach of the United States in her 4th year in charge of the team. She told us this is her strongest 11 starting the game today. She has an embarrassment of riches to call on from the bench. John Herdman for Canada, an Englishman appointed after their poor showing at last year's World Cup. His philosophy to empower his players. Kari Seitz, an experienced referee. She'll be going to represent the United States at her 3rd Olympic Games. All set for kickoff. The old rivals, the United States against Canada. The USA, 3 times Olympic champions, and straight away into attack, and that's a super cross into the penalty area. And McLeod had to be on her toes to punch that one clear. Shannon Box now. Desiree Scott with her first touch. The Canadians wearing their blue shirts today. Is the centenary of the Canadian Football Association. And that blue represents the blue of the ensign flag that used to represent Canada way before the maple leaf became their traditional flag in the 1960s. So a nod to tradition for the Canadians today, who will be taking part in their 2nd Olympic Games in London. Sesselman. Rapinoe, has she done the throw-in for the USA? No, she hasn't.
Something to pay attention here is the times around home. She talked to them. Making sure.
Lepelbeck concedes another throw, about 15 or 20 yards made down the left touchline here by Canada. It's a rematch of the 2008 quarter-final, that epic night in Shanghai during the Beijing Games. A 2-1 victory for the United States. Tobin Heath with a long ball forward. But that's easy for Erin McLeod. Kyle Martino between the benches. He's got a wonderful view of the action. You can hear most of the things that are happening on both benches. What have you made of the action so far, Kyle?
Well, we talked to Christy Rampone yesterday, and one thing she said when we're talking about flirting with excellence and taking this team from an 8, which is what most of the players said, to a 10, is getting all over teams early. That's what United States used to do when they got over a team in the first 15 minutes. And she said lately, if we don't feel comfortable and we're not all over a team right at the beginning, we have a tough time getting into our rhythm.
Lauren Cheney, edge of the area. It's a long drive by Tobin Heath. It's a good one with her right foot coming in off the left flank. McLeod had to be alert down to her left-hand side, and she looks to spring Canada into attack. The United States have dominated against Canada, particularly recently. Haven't lost to the Canadians for 11 years. A 4-0 victory in the final of the CONCACAF qualifying tournament in January. CONCACAF, the organization that rule this sport in North America, the Caribbean and Central America. 21-0-4 since that 2001 defeat. One back with the long ball forward towards Alex Morgan. That's why they call her Baby Horse. She corrals the ball just inside the touchline. Throw into the United States.
When that pace over the top is such a weapon. And that's one of the reasons that Abby Wambach is so effective, is it unlocks her. The back four have to stay honest, have to play deep, because they're not going to win that foot race. And Abby Wambach and Lauren Cheney will have plenty of space to pick that ball up right in front of that back four.
Brianne Wilkinson with an excellent tackle in the end. O'Hara with the cross. And there's the first corner of the match. Emily Zura heading the ball out of play. Tobin Heath has had a good start. 23 years old, from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. This is her 45th cap, very skillful winger. And look for Rapinoe and Tobin Heath, who have started on the right and left respectively. Rapinoe will take this corner to switch flanks during the game. Megan Rapinoe. She provided the cross for that epic equalising goal against Brazil in the quarter-final of the World Cup. Deep service towards the back post. Abby Wambach, of course, the intended recipient. And it's corner number 2. That goal against Brazil equalised at 2-2 in the quarter-final in Dresden last year. 122nd minute for Abby Wambach, a flying trademark header. The latest goal ever scored in a FIFA knockout tournament. And look at that record. She missed out on the Olympic Games in 2008. She broke her leg against Brazil in San Diego in the send-off match. She can't wait to get to London. Rapinoe again drives this across. Heath on the edge of the penalty area. And it's all United States at the moment. Rapinoe. Lauren Cheney prods it forward. Good call by McLeod, the goalkeeper. Big role for Lauren Cheney today, Kyle, isn't there, in that attacking midfield role, almost a number 10 behind the front two.
Well, one of the things Pia Sundhage loves so much is her versatility. If she wants to make a substitution and bring Carly Lloyd into the game, she can easily not do a like for like and move Lauren Cheney into an outside midfield position. So there's plenty of areas on the field she can play, and she plays both sides. She understands that defensive responsibility, but she's so calm and composed on the ball.
That was a nice ball with the outside of the left foot to Heath, and there's a long-range opportunity here. McLeod, it was Abby Wambach trying from distance, and we both saw, Carl, didn't we? The devastating right-footed shot against Sweden recently in Sweden.
Well, and that's one of those things I talked about with this partnership, where it's not a typical big, strong forward and a speedy forward. Alex Morgan was the one that flicked that ball on in the Sweden game for Abby Wambach to get on the end of it. It's just impossible to defend these two because they both can change their game to complement the other.
She scored 20 goals in the last 22 games, Abby Wambach, and together with Morgan, it's their 12th consecutive starts And during those matches, they've managed 24 goals. Wambach with just the 9. Alex Morgan with 15. A new star of the women's game in the United States. Longfong solo. And that's an awkward-looking challenge from Wambach, who then fell on Sesselman, but it's play on, says the referee. Rapinoe, low drive. Lepelbet. And in the end, the play is brought back.
Well, yeah, it's actually Kyle that's down, and she was a last-minute addition to the starting lineup, was very bright and physical in training. You can see as she was trying to get off the ground, she had her foot stepped on from Abby Wambach, and that didn't allow her to get up on that challenge and cut right underneath Abby Wambach.
I don't think Abby Wambach landing on your back is going to do you any favors either, is it?
That one hurts.
Kaylin Kyle up and appears to be okay. She won her first cap against the USA in 2008. Cheney. Wambach making a run down the inside right channel. She's got the legs. Sesselman is up with her, the left back. Wambach looking for support. Tries the left-footed cross, ignoring the option of Rapinoe. But here is Megan Rapinoe now. Lepelbet. Cheney dispossessed by Scott in the midfield, but it's a foul. Now recites the referee. Alleging that Desiree Scott was just a little overzealous in that challenge.
Yeah, and Arlo, that matchup all day long. They're at opposite sides of that diamond in the midfield. Lauren Cheney at the top and Scott at the bottom. They're going to get in each other's face. Scott's a very physical player. Toe pokes the ball away, gets in, steps on your heels, makes sure she's difficult to play against. And already, Cheney finding a lot of the ball early.
Carl, look at this tactic. 2 American players in clear offside positions here. And away they go. The ball curled across. Opportunity. The back post, and it's just headed wide. That was something off the training ground. Abby Wambach diving at the far post, inches wide of goal, but that was a really interesting routine.
What a delightful ball in. And she sees it late, just makes it over that defender's head. You can see she might be expecting right there to see a touch on it. And the wind actually brings it closer to her. That wind's cutting right across the field. Tries to snap it to that near post, glances off of her head, misses it, but 20 goals in the last 22 games. Outstanding strike rate. And I spoke about Alex Morgan in the pregame. I actually did her a disservice. I said she has 14 goals in 17 games. She actually has 17 goals in 14 games, so I apologize to her.
It's a remarkable record for these two, but that corner routine was interesting from the United States. 2 players clearly in offside positions that confuses the defense, and then you get the quality of service that Megan Rapinoe can deliver with Wambach to aim for, and it's a potentially devastating tool looking ahead to the London Games. Kaylin Kyle. The right back is Rhiann Wilkinson. Kyle again. Emily Zura made to chase this one, and Wambach will press high up the field, and she's won a throw-in for the United States. They just don't give any team time to settle, even though it's searingly hot out there, Kyle. They've got such great fitness and athletic ability, haven't they, the United States?
Well, it's funny, some of them referenced Barcelona. Everyone's trying to shape their game after Barcelona, and a lot of people don't realize Barcelona scores 75% of their goals picking up the ball in the offensive half of the field. It's that early pressure.
O'Hara with the cross deep towards Rapinoe, into the box towards Wambach. Now, was she fouled? No. There's no penalty kick. Wambach remains on the ground. I wonder about that one, Carl. From your vantage point between the benches.
It looks like she gets a toe poke on it. Yeah. It's a dangerous challenge to make. Moscato reaching around Abby Wambach, but no penalty there.
Carmelina Moscato, centre back for Canada. Shannon Box with space, the veteran 35-year-old. Rapinoe's had an excellent start to the game. Needs support down there, a little bit isolated. Lauren Cheney coming over. Crunching tackle from Sesselman. Off the Lepelbet for a throw into Canada.
Well, we've seen Rapinoe a lot on the left, but she'll switch. When she plays on the left and Heather O'Reilly's on the right, she likes to tuck in on that right foot, and that's one of the reasons Kelly O'Hara's worked so well as a left back. It's her offensive ability getting forward, but Megan Rapinoe can play either side. She's got a great engine and good pace, and this 4-4-2 suits a tall forward like Abby Wambach, who thrives off service.
Rapinoe missed the last Olympics as well, alongside Abby Wambach with a torn ACL. So a big tournament for her coming up. Plays for the Seattle Sounders women in the W League. Here she is again. Now box. Cheney to the left-hand side to Kelly O'Hara, who's starting at left back. The United States suffered a blow in CONCACAF qualifying by they breezed through that tournament, winning all 5 games, scoring 38 goals, conceding none. But they did lose their right back, their starting right back, Ali Krieger, to another torn ACL. O'Hara gets the cross in, it's deep. Rapinoe challenger, gets the header in. Not enough power on this one.
Well, here's Kelly O'Hara getting forward. Lofted ball. It's a little difficult to come and attack that. Rapinoe does a good job. The more height on the ball, the harder it is to snap it and get power on it.
Well, that defensive reshuffle I was talking about means Kelly O'Hara, normally a midfielder, has dropped back to left back. And that means Amy Lepelbet, number 6, is now stationed at right back, which for her is great because she's a right-footed player. Kelly O'Hara earning her 19th cap today.
Well, and without a naturally left-footed player to knock on the door in the starting lineup for left midfield, a la Christine Lilly, you don't really have an option of someone that gets chalk on their shoes and stays wide, and that actually works to your favor when you have an outside back that loves to get forward.
And Christy Rampone telling us yesterday that they don't mind O'Hara getting forward down that left-hand side and going to a back 3 when the US are in possession. But Canada have an opportunity here, perhaps, to create something for themselves. 0-0 as we approach the 13-minute mark. The send-off match for both of these teams, the United States and Canada, before the Olympic Games. Clear by Wambach in a defensive position. Matheson with the free kick. An opportunity for the United States to break away here. Rapinoe, heavy touch as she kept it in play. Yes, according to the assistant referee. Inside of her is Alex Morgan, pointing to where she wants the ball. All alone is Abby Wambach if she can find her. And that's a terrific sliding challenge by Diana Matheson, who had just taken the free kick at the other end of the field. Wambach was wide open, 8 yards out.
So there's a look at the pace and transition of this United States team, and the head coach of Canada, Herdman, was screaming at his defenders before that restart was even taken to watch out for Rapinoe and Alex Morgan over here on this near side of the field.
There's a sign from Rapinoe, holds the ball aloft. Now a left arm raised, driven towards the back post again. It's a flicked header this time. There's Christine Sinclair back defending. Scott needs to get this clear. Sesselman does in the end, but only as far as box. Rapinoe all alone out on the right-hand side. Kyle coming over to meet her. It's a wonderful hanging cross, and it's an own goal. Carmelina Moscato with that terrific challenge moments ago against Abby Wambach, but she couldn't deal with that cross, and she pokes it left-footed into her own net, and the US take a 1-0 lead.
Well, it's good service in a dangerous area, right in between a goalkeeper and a defender, with a defender sprinting at his goalkeeper, and this is just lack of communication. As a goalkeeper, you need to be screaming early, as loud as you can, that that's your ball, and McLeod could have easily collected that. Unfortunate for Canada to give up an early goal like that.
Doesn't matter if it's a friendly or the gold medal match at the Olympic Games. Pia Sundhage loves to celebrate every goal that her team score. And as a defender, Kyle, I know you weren't in your professional career, former US international, but your former teammates will have told you hate facing your own goal in that situation, don't you?
Well, I made sure I wasn't back there too often, because I probably would have done something like that.
They used to shoot you out of the area.
Yes, Kyle,
you can only do damage here.
It's not your area. But when you're sprinting at your own goal and that ball's in between you and your goalkeeper, that's the most dangerous position to be in for a defender. And you saw right there, it's very difficult to communicate when a ball's whipped in that fast.
Headed by Zura. Shannon Box again. Impressive so far by the United States. Wambach ahead of us, sprinting, is Alex Morgan to the right-hand side to Megan Rapinoe. Tobin Heath will be desperate to get into the game, but at the moment everything's going through Rapinoe on the right. Headed this time by Wambach. Cross from Lepelbet, just a little too strong. They look a little shell-shocked out there at the moment. Canada ranked 7 in the world. They had a poor World Cup last year. High expectations. They were eliminated after going 0-3 in the group stage. Defeats to the host Germany, who are ranked number 2. No disgrace in that. They fell also to France and Nigeria. They only managed 1 goal. Christine Sinclair, their star striker, who's yet to get in the game. They conceded 7. There was a clear out. John Herdman was appointed coach. He was in charge of New Zealand at that World Cup in Germany last year. He's nervously prowling at the bottom of your screen, the edge of the technical area. Matheson. Wilkinson. Excellent defending by Rachel Bueller to get there ahead of Sinclair. And the game is already slowing down a touch in the heat. Expected to be in the 90s today. The last time the US women played here was March of 2010. It was 34 degrees. One back. Cheney. Good defensive work by Sinclair, who's having to drop very deep, the Canada striker, to try and regain possession for the visitors. Lepelbet, Rampone, the only member of the 1999 World Cup winning team still active for the national team. O'Hara to Heath. O'Hara again. Tries to get to the byline. Ball still there. No foul on Rhian Wilkinson. It's going to be hard for Canada to get out of their own half here at the moment, Kyle, isn't it? With both strikers coming back so deep to try and win the ball back.
Well, it's crucial that they don't give that first pass away. A couple times now they've picked up the ball, and there's been options, and they've been sloppy with that first pass. But the United States in that offensive posture, there's so many players in your area of the field. When you pick up the ball, you have to make sure you break that first line of pressure, and then there's going to be possibilities going forward. But it has to be that first pass away from the first 2 U.S. women's national team players that are applying pressure.
Look at Sinclair. She has dropped deep and she has won the ball. It was a ferocious headed challenge on Cheney, then a sliding tackle. I think the frustration growing slightly for Christine Sinclair, who has a magnificent record in international soccer. This 181st cap, 134 goals. She said this team needs to rediscover the spirit of 2008 when they reached the quarterfinals. She does want to spoil the party today for the United States, because it'll be a very edgy game. Examples of that in her defensive work a few moments ago. Box to Cheney. Tobin Heath on the left-hand side does have the chalk on her boots, as Kyle described a few moments ago. Trying to stretch the defence, stretch the midfield of the Canadians. That's the goal that separates the sides from Carmelina Moscato into her own net. Long from Shannon Box. Good defensive header by Sesselman. Morgan. Heath has come central. Nicely worked out to the left-hand side by Cheney. O'Hara. Here comes the cross. It's a good one. Rapinoe. A nutmeg. Rapinoe drives it across. Moscato. Her heart must have been in her mouth in front of goal again, but she dealt with it that time. Cheney, edge of the area. Tries the right-footed shot. Rapinoe. Now it's Morgan. Left-footed. Leaping effort. Caught on the line by a very relieved Erin McLeod.
Well, how about this lovely bit of skill from Rapinoe? Cuts the ball back. Legs open up. Nice little nutmeg. Gets it back. Tries to rip it hard near post.
And McLeod's got a problem here. This is interesting. In that quarter-final I mentioned a few moments ago, in 2008, she actually went off after 19 minutes. There was a knee injury on that occasion. She's been treated very early on after 20 minutes today, and it's a good opportunity for all the players here to take on some fluids. And Pia Sundhage is having a chat with Lepelbet, the right back here. Great character, Pia Sundhage. It was interesting chatting to her yesterday about the 2011 World Cup, Kyle, wasn't it? Because the US epically beat Brazil, as we described earlier, in that quarter-final. They got through France in the semi. Then they played Japan, who many people thought just had the power with them. It was going to be their destiny to win after that awful earthquake and tsunami in their country. It was just weeks afterwards. The United States took the lead twice in the final. Twice they were pegged back. It went to penalty kicks, and Japan prevailed. And the sportsmanship shown by the American women was fabulous, even in defeat. The Japanese came away victorious. Their whole nation celebrated. But when they got back, they were distraught, the Americans, but they were lauded. Well, there wasn't exactly a ticker-tape parade, but they got a wonderful reception, like they captured the hearts and minds of a nation. And they found it difficult, Carl, didn't they, to reconcile that with coming second.
Well, it's so difficult. And talking with Pia Sundhage, you learn two things right away. She's a student of the game, thinks about it a lot, and two, she's so passionate. One of the most difficult things is taking over a team that has expectations like the United States. It's difficult to become first place. It's even more difficult to stay first place. And a lot of teams have closed the gap. Teams around the world are better. They're more skillful. They're stronger. And the United States have had to change their game a little bit. And you look at the Japan game, and it was incredible that she was still trying to learn and get better. In a game that they're winning, it's a great result. At the end of the game, she makes a substitution for a defender, puts on an attacking player to act like they're down a goal or it's a tie game in a tournament where they need to get a goal. And by the way, they did. To be thinking constantly and trying to get better is how you stay first place.
McLeod is back on her feet, the goalkeeper. I asked Sundhage about this notion of redemption at London 2012. She said that's very dangerous. If we go into the games with that attitude, it's too emotional. We just need to concentrate on getting better every game. Here's Scott for Canada. Trailing by a goal to nil. Looking for options, Wilkinson. Heading clear by Lepelbed, only as far as Sinclair, who couldn't bring the ball under control this time. And there's a chance for Rapinoe. Acres of space to march into for Megan Rapinoe. One back. Look at the space to turn into. Morgan's on the right-hand side. She tries to thread it through the eye of a needle to Rapinoe, but the ball's broken to Cheney. And now Tobin Heath. She can have a run at Wilkinson here, Tobin Heath. Edge of the area to Rapinoe. Scott out to meet her. Good movement by Lepelbed, the right back. Options in the penalty area for Lepelbed. Not a lot of support with her. She's going to have a go here at the Canadian defence. And there were too many blue shirts. Rampone, no nonsense, into the area. Tess for McLeod, who plucks the ball out of the sky. US Soccer on NBC is brought to you by the Panasonic ToughPad tablet. Fearless, and by Century 21. Century 21 is the official real estate company of the US Soccer national teams. Approaching the 25-minute mark. Teams separated by an own goal from Carmelina Moscato in the 15th minute. Shannon Box, Christy Rampone, Amy Lepelbed. Some high pressure from the Canadians.
Well, one of the things that's not working for Canada is Scott is staying so locked to that bottom of the diamond in the middle of the park, protecting that back four. She's not sprinting out and trying to find Lauren Cheney when Lauren Cheney's getting those gaps right in about 10 yards in front of Shannon Box. She needs to fly out there and make sure she puts pressure on Lauren Cheney.
Sinclair back to goal. And again, she looks frustrated. Quick throw-in taken by Rampone. A little nudge in the back on Abby Wambach by Sesselman. And it's a free kick to the United States and another opportunity to put the ball onto the forehead of the number 14, Abby Wambach. Rampone will take it. She played one game in the 1999 World Cup as a substitute against North Korea. The memory's still fresh. There it goes into the area. McLeod confidently off her line, 8 yards out.
Well, McLeod's proved early here, if you loft the ball up, she's going to be able to get underneath it. very confident coming off her line. And when you have Abby Wambach, sometimes you want to just hit the ball high because you know she's got the height, the power, and the timing. But when you have a goalkeeper that comes off the line like that, you have to drive it a little lower.
Matheson battling away, but loses out. Cheney, head up straight away. Alex Morgan, so positive. Rapinoe to find on the right-hand side. She decides to go for the shots. Moscato with the challenge. And it's well kept in down there. Here's Rapinoe again. What could she conjure on this right-hand side? Well, it's a delayed decision by referee Kari Sykes. Challenge once again by Lauren Sesselman, who's been given a real workout in the early stages here. I wonder, was this a foul, Kyle?
Looked like good defending from my position. I was looking right down the line, and great tackle. Gets all of the ball.
Yeah, she's hard done by there, Lauren Sesselman. And this is danger for Canada. McLeod orchestrating. Two in the wall for Canada. Rapinoe on the left foot. Morgan just drifting towards the edge of the penalty area. One back at the far post, makes her move. Here's Rapinoe, she's going for the near post directly as a shot. And that didn't work out unless Bueller was the intended recipient who'd made a darting run towards the near post. Long throw in, flicked on. Schmidt needs to get this clear. And she comes out of that challenge with the ball at her feet, the former University of Portland player. That should be a free kick to Canada, and it is. Pretty rash challenge on Christine Sinclair. And back we go to Lauren Sesselman, who is lying on the ground. Let's take a look at the incident here, Kyle.
Well, this is the foul. That's a high challenge right there from O'Hara.
Now, if it's not a friendly, that's a yellow card, isn't it? Very high boot into the thigh.
Well, and Sesselman went down on that last play off the long throw that Alex Morgan went up, got over her, and she fell awkwardly.
Went to Purdue, Lauren Sesselman. Actually born in the United States, she became a Canadian citizen in 2010. Her father's Canadian. Only member of this squad who hasn't played in a World Cup or the Olympic Games. She limps off the field. Have to wait and see if she can return. Meantime, Canada have a free kick. Diana Matheson will take it. An economics major at Princeton, no less. Moscato is forward. Sinclair is there. Lots of argy-bargy in that group of players. United States determined to keep a line.
Very high. Trying to keep the Canadian players from getting anywhere near Hope Solo and let Hope Solo come out and attack that space.
Here it comes into the penalty area. Moscato was the closest to it, but it runs behind. And Lauren Sesselman comes back out onto the field. Almost half an hour gone. United States with a 0-0 lead. And going back to that challenge, there was a late yellow card, Kyle, and I think rightly so for O'Hara. It was a high challenge, and sometimes you get away with challenges in friendlies. Sometimes a bit of latitude from the referees.
Not when you're kicking above the socks.
Exactly. There's a limit, isn't there? Rampone. Crunching challenge by Sinclair. Rampone has stayed on the ground. It's getting feisty out there, as you would expect between these cross-border rivals. Shannon Box has been shown a yellow card now. It's Kyle who's down on the floor. Let's see both of these fouls, Kyle.
Well, Rampone was just lingering on the ball a little bit, looking for options, and a crunching tackle from Sinclair. Great challenge, and immediately Shannon Box comes in with a little bit of retaliation for the last challenge, gets all of Kyle, explodes the cleats off the ground. Dangerous tackle, and Yesterday we were speaking to Lauren Cheney about playing in the midfield with Box, and she said there is no tougher player I've ever played against than Shannon Box. And right there, very dangerous, tough challenge on Kyle.
35 years old yesterday, Shannon Box. There she is. She assisted that game-winning goal in 2008 in the quarter-final. Kaylyn Kyle has to go off the field in order to come back on again once she's received treatment. Moscato with the long free kick. It was a good one. Steve Sinclair and Brittany Timko were the closest to it. But away come the United States through Heath down the left-hand side. Wambach just unable to hold the ball up. Rhiann Wilkinson with a good challenge. Kyle back on the pitch.
But here's what I mean about Cheney coming back and picking up the ball. Scott just marking space, and it's too difficult for the forwards to try to pick up Shannon Box and Lauren Cheney and close down those passing lanes. If Scott doesn't want to fire out there and put pressure on, she's got to send someone out there, maybe an outside midfielder, but she can't stay locked to that back four and just mark space. This United States team is too good.
Sinclair trying to make something happen. Here's Schmidt. Matheson looking for Timko, but the challenge came in. Now Rapinoe. Here goes Alex Morgan. Moscato across, and she has to make it. She doesn't. Morgan to the byline. Two red and white shirts to aim for. It's a good recovery. This is by Sesselman. Now there's a trip in the penalty area. Waved away. Rapinoe went down in the 18-yard area. Boos, theatrical boos from around Rio Tinto Stadium. Excellent pace shown by Alex Morgan. Not too many complaints from the Americans.
Well, here comes the challenge. Definitely gets to the ball, and that's been one of the impressive things about this Canada team is when one player is beat, there's usually another blue jersey right there to make a challenge after a U.S. player gets by.
Scotland's been tidy in possession. She finds Matheson. On the right-hand side is Rhiann Wilkinson with some space to work with here. Along it goes diagonally and hopefully towards Sophie Schmidt. There's Hope Solo. Played in all 5 of those Olympic qualifiers. In Canada in January, didn't concede a goal. Rampone. Cheney. Bueller, nicknamed the Bulldozer because of her physical style. Morgan trying to thread it down the middle to her strike mate Abby Wambach. US still in possession. Cheney. Rapinoe in space on the right-hand side. Box goes short. And then lofts it to Rapinoe. Here she is. Keeps it in play. Sesselman showing good poise. Now Sinclair. Brilliantly cut out by Bueller. Matheson. A bit more space for the Canadian midfielders in the last 5 minutes or so. There's Sophie Schmidt. Again, it's long and diagonal. It's up towards Brittany Tomko. It's over her head. As we approach the final 10 minutes of the first half. University of Nebraska product, Brittany Tomko.
Well, one of the parts about this first half that are going to worry head coach John Herdman is Sinclair dropping deeper and deeper to try to find this game, to try to get involved. And with such a world-class forward getting that far away from the attacking goal, the United States are going to love that.
Wonderful purpose shown by Rapinoe. Nicely weighted ball to Wambach. Look at that physical battle. Shoulder to shoulder. She just shrugged Moscato off like a ragdoll and she's run a corner. Moscato was strong enough though.
And just to my left, Pia Sundhage applauding that attack. Every time they get the ball and do something she likes in transition, she immediately looks back to her bench and applauds and has this wonderful smile on her face.
I told us yesterday that Abby Wambach's in the best shape she's ever seen her. She's a much smarter player. A curling centre this time. Volley on the edge of the area, lapel bet. Bueller. Rapinoe. Scott across. Rapinoe checks back. Cheney available. Oh, it's all Megan Rapinoe. A twisting, winding run. What a goal that would have been. Good defending in the end by Canada. Abby Wambach was behind the defender, Zura. super skill from Megan Rapinoe.
Rapinoe's been outstanding, getting her head down, taking players one-on-one. What I'd like to see from her is when she gets that space, pick her head up and pick out an option instead of trying to just drill it in a dangerous area. She has the skill to find players.
Tobin Heath has been penalised for a free kick. Foul on Lauren Sesselman, who climbs slowly to her feet. She's been in a battle in the opening 36 minutes. All of the United States, or most of the United States attacking, has come down this right-hand side. He's taken 1 or 2 knocks. The latest from Tobin Heath. Flicks off Lepelbit's head, thrown into Canada. Kyle. Schmidt. Lots of red and white striped jerseys there, and Cheney gets away only as far as Scott. She can spread the play. Zura, the centre-back. Wilkinson, the right-back for Canada. Decent ball towards Kyle. Can Kaylin Kyle keep this ball in play? No, just too strong for her. From Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Kaylin Kyle. I think that's the last time I'll manage that today.
You pulled that off nicely.
Nice little pause at just the right time. Christy Rampone. Lauren Cheney looking to spread the play to the left-hand side. It gets to Tobin Heath. They've stayed true to their flanks, haven't they, so far, Carl? Rapinoe on the right, Heath on the left.
We saw them switch a lot in the Japan game, and with how little Tobin Heath has been seeing the ball, you'd figure she'd be begging for a switch.
Matheson trying to thread it through to the advancing midfielder, Schmidt. Opsola without a save to make so far. Bueller positively knocks it long towards Alex Morgan. Alex Morgan still there, McLeod off her line. Zura was the centre-back, almost begging the goalkeeper to come out and claim it. Just knowing, sensing the footsteps behind her, those are baby horse Alex Morgan.
When the U.S. has talked about, this is how they used to get at teams, direct Route 1 soccer, and they're bringing it a little bit back. A little bit of a renaissance of how they used to get at teams. With the pace of Alex Morgan, they switch it up from time to time. They're not afraid to hit that long ball. That forces that back four to completely stay on, stay alert, because they never know when they're going to be in a foot race with one of the fastest women in the world.
And any defensive line that's too high will be punished by that, Carl, at the Olympic Games, won't they?
Absolutely. And it's tough. It's what's the lesser of the two evils? Getting beat over the top from Alex Morgan, or having the skill of Cheney and Rapinoe and Tobin Heath going at you through the midfield?
Shannon Box for the United States on a yellow card. Just wonderful vision. O'Hara, Cheney. Greeted by Scott once again. Here's Shannon Box. Megan Rapinoe. This time by Schmidt. Not a very sensible place to give away a free kick against this United States team. Rapinoe will take it. And once again, we're seeing this move. Two United States players in clear offside positions. They'll get themselves back onside by the time Rapinoe strikes the ball. It's another excellent delivery at the far post. McLeod had missed it. And once again, one back was there. It was off the left foot this time and wide. But that routine is working beautifully at the moment.
Well, and that wind is right at Rapinoe's back, and that ball's carrying. That's the perfect height for a ball. McLeod comes out for it. Tries to get on and completely misjudges it in the far post. Abby Wambach right there. Doesn't expect it to make it through the crowd again. Tries to get that left foot out and just let the ball hit her foot. Skims off of it and goes out. Missed opportunity.
Such a shame for her in 2008. She was on form in that year, that pre-Olympic year, 13 goals and 10 assists. She has a point to prove at London 2012. Abby Wambach. Schmidt. Good defending by Bueller. Tobin Heath. O'Hara. On towards Morgan. Little shove in the back by Zura, and he's been spotted by the referee. Zura just trying to gain an advantage there, so that Morgan couldn't flick the ball onto an advancing Abby Wambach, and she's been penalised for it. United States in a group in London 2012, a tough group with France, with the USA beats 3-1 in the 2011 World Cup semi-final. They're 12-0-1 all-time against the French, the United States. Here comes the free kick delivery into the box. Wambach with the header is looping towards goal, and McLeod claims it. And it's the French who provide the opening opposition on July the 25th, so just 25 days away at Hampden Park in Glasgow. It'll be slightly cooler in Scotland than it is in Utah today. Colombia are the second opponents. The United States beat them 3-0 at last year's World Cup. And then North Korea, as the show moves to Old Trafford, Manchester, the home of the world-famous Manchester United. Flick on by Matheson. I think Zipko was in an offside position anyway. The ball played back to Hope Solo. North Korea were beaten by the United States 2-0 in the World Cup, so they've got familiarity with all of their group opponents. And it's really interesting what Pia Sundhage told us yesterday, because the French, albeit they didn't dominate the game, suspicion of handball against Kyle, not given by the referee. Rapinoe tries the give and go with Alex Morgan, tidied up here by Canada with Scott. Dispossessed by Rapinoe. Now Lepelbet. Wambach making a run into the penalty area. Back it goes to Shannon Box. But Carl, the French are a very technical team and showed in that semi-final how good they are on the ball. And the US had to cede possession a lot in that game. And Sundhage told us it's great we're playing them first when we've got the most energy.
Well, and one of the things the United States has done to combat that is play a higher line. They shrink the field and almost invite teams to play over the top. Rampone has tremendous pace. Hope Solo is very smart with when she comes off the line. She's very good with her feet. But what they've done is they've brought in a defensive coach that has showed them when is the right time to play that high line. At times, if there's no pressure, coming back and making sure they don't run that risk of getting beat over the top and counter-athletic.
An excellent shot comes in from O'Hara, who flanks down that left-hand side. It was a super crossfield ball by Shannon Box. The right back deciding not to go for it. O'Hara got the shot away.
Well, and this is what you want from your outside back. Tight little touches, drops the shoulder, gets it on her right foot, dips right in front of the goalkeeper. Easy save in the end, but you want her to have that confidence to go forward.
Matheson forward. Opportunity here perhaps for Canada. Simcoe and Schmidt are in pursuit. But Hope Solo defending her penalty area. She's been instructed, as of all the defenders and all the players across the field, to own their own area. Kind of empowering the players to take leadership. Hope Solo's in charge of that area, that 30 or so yards behind the central defenders. She was patrolling the edge of the penalty area there to great effect. Free kick to the United States. They lead by 1-0 in the final minutes of the first half. Rampone will take it. Lofts it towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Plenty of traffic in there. Hard for McLeod to come out and claim. Lepelbet. It's strong for Rapinoe. She won't be able to corral that one. And there'll be 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. We've seen the trainer on repeatedly for one or two Canada players. Schmidt over the head of Rampone, who is back defensively, doing what she's done for so many years. Hope Solo displaying her skills off the ground. She's got an enormous kick on her, which is excellent for this team, particularly when they want to send it long quickly, get the flick on, send Alex Morgan and use her pace. Here's Zura. Scott. Wilkinson. Shannon Box head up straight away, one back. Sends it straight through towards Morgan. You can see the idea. Just a little heavy on the pass that time, Abby Wambach. I asked Pia Sundhage yesterday, Carl, when I saw Wambach with some ice on her Achilles. Oh, is she in trouble for tomorrow? She just laughed at me, didn't she? Well, she said she's always got ice on her.
She said there's been ice on her Achilles for the last 10 years, but she's fine.
Shannon Box again. Matheson for Canada. Twists away from Heather. A little hack at the ankles, but Matheson was strong. Now Schmidt to the feet of Sinclair, trying to work a shot on that left foot. She drives it, takes a deflection. Oh, what a save by Hope Solo. She kept it out. Extraordinary from Hope Solo. They're claiming a goal. Kaylin Carl thinks it's crossed the line. I wonder if we're heading for another goal line technology controversy. But wrong-footed there, Hope Solo, and the crowd at Rio Tinto Stadium are on their feet. That's why she's regarded as the best woman goalkeeper in the world.
Well, you can hear how much the fans think of Hope Solo, how important she is, but this is an outstanding save. Changes direction, the deflection, she's already shuffling across to the right, has to go to the left, does it quickly, strong hand to keep it out, but then doesn't stop there, gets up, strong hands to keep it out of the net with the attacker coming for the rebound. Outstanding save.
Down the other end, Alex Morgan, can she make it two before the break? Two defenders on her right foot, Alex Morgan off the line. Well, the game's coming to life in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Desperate defending by both sides. Morgan must have thought that was goal number 28 for the United States.
Look at this ability at top speed, cuts the ball back, two defenders fall for it, curls it back post going in, and a tremendous save there. Sesselman coming back, but look at the ability to stop on a dime, get composed, get her balance back, curl that far post. Outstanding from Sesselman to not give up on that play, though.
She's had quite a half, Lauren Sesselman, and she's kept Canada in the game. She's been bruised and battered, but she stayed strong towards the end. 3 minutes of stoppage time are up. The crowd are very much into this game. That was extraordinary just before the break. A wonderful save by Hope Solo to prevent Canada equalising just before half-time. And then moments later at the other end, Alex Morgan showing all of her skill set, touching back on the right foot. Goalkeeper McLeod was beaten, but Lauren Sesselman was able to clear off the line. 1-0 is the score. Pia Sundhage and her coaching staff will have a little chat before they go into the locker room. Let's head down to Kyle Martino on the touchline with Megan Rapinoe.
Thanks, Arlo. Megan, you seem to enjoy that first half. Why were you finding so much space on this side of the field?
I think their left back wasn't attacking so much, so she was kind of dropping back a little bit, kind of opening up through the middle. I'm just kind of hanging out waiting for the through balls.
Well, we've seen you switch sides a lot. Play on the left, play on the right, even during the game. You're staying locked to this right side. Was that something that you decided before the game or was communicated to you, or are you just finding so much joy you don't want to move over there?
Yeah, I think Pia, she allows us to have freedom, but I think it was this game, this is more so my role to kind of occupy the right side. We'll switch sometimes, but I'm not letting open over here. I'm having too much fun.
Not when you're having that much fun. Thanks, Megan. Arlo?
Thanks very much, Carl. Great to hear from Megan Rapinoe. The half-time report is next from Rio Tinto Stadium with Russ Taylor and Kyle Martino. What an end to the half it was. Half-time score, USA 1, Canada 0.
On NBC.
A 1-0 scoreline at halftime in favor of USA belies a flurry of action at Rio Tinto Stadium here in Utah. Welcome to the halftime report. Russ Taylor and Kyle Martino. And like prize fighters throwing haymakers right before the bell, we saw so much action. The early part of this match, Kyle, dominated by USA.
Well, the U.S. came out of the gates with a lot of energy, got good flank play and a tremendous variety to their attack. Being patient, moving the ball around, but on set pieces, constantly dangerous. Terrific delivery in from Rapinoe, who on the right flank, burning a hole down that side, and then this delivery is right where it needs to be, right on the 6, in between a goalkeeper and her defender. Communication right, not right. They go up 1-0. And Canada, a little shell-shocked early there.
Yep.
But they responded. They got on the game a little bit, and they were finding Sinclair, and then Hope Solo coming up with a heroic save. Gets there, makes the first save.
Can you tell?
You can't tell from that angle. And oh, by the way, do we have another goal line technology conversation? It's getting tiresome. But this is a tremendous save. And I think from that angle, it's inconclusive, but I don't think the whole ball crossed the line. Here's another look at it. That save is outstanding. To not only get her hand on that, but to get up quickly and get there for the rebound. And then
Seconds later.
Just incredible. At top speed, cuts it back, curls that far post. Could have been 2-0 there.
Has Pia Sundhage seen enough now from her starting 11? She said this is her best 11. This is the team that will start against France. We're looking at widespread changes now for the second half?
Well, she'll definitely use all 6 of her substitutions. I don't think she'll use them all right away. The heat is definitely an issue. She's not going to want a lot of her stars to go the distance. She wants to make sure she brings the players in who she said are going to factor into this Olympics and be the most important part, the players that she brings off the bench. Because when you have that short recovery in between games, you need all of your players to perform. So look for some changes. In Canada, you have a team that was a little shell-shocked but picked it up and had a great finish to that half. They need to be less concerned with the United States players behind them, more concerned with the ones in front of them, a la Scott, who needs to step and put a little more pressure on. Try to shrink the field on the United States because they were getting some chances, especially in transition.
USA has a 1-0 lead at halftime. Carmelita Moscato of Canada is going to be sick after putting one in the back of her own net. We'll take a look at the road to gold for the Olympics when we get back. After 45 and extra time, it's 1-0 USA over Canada. Both will head overseas after this, as this is the send-off match for the 2012 Summer Olympics. For USA, they get started on the 25th at Hampden Park in Glasgow, Scotland. As we take a look at the groups, Kyle, who could give USA a run for their money as the red, white, and blue try to defend their gold medals?
Well, you only have to look back at the last World Cup, and France gave them a big game. Japan won the World Cup. But a team like Sweden, who's in the top 5 in the world rankings, and in the last game gave them a scare, got some goals, and really got at them.
As far as what USA needs to do to get all the way through, what do they need to ratchet up just a little bit more based on what we've seen already today?
Well, we talked about defensively. I think that's going to be one of the areas they need to make sure to improve on. They've hung their hat in the past on their defense, and now the offense is driving things. So if they want to be perfect, if they want to make sure that all these teams that are coming out to try to make sure the U.S. doesn't get another gold medal, the defensive side of things of not inviting too much risk in that back, not playing a high line all the time, is going to be important for them to shore things up.
The men's event at the Olympics is an under-23 tournament with select overage players. Who would you consider the favorites?
Well, you have to say Brazil, but how do they not have a gold medal? So you know there's something about the Olympics that just doesn't click for them in Spain. We've seen all the talent they have through the youth ranks. They're going to be a tough team to play against.
Big news coming out of Great Britain is that David Beckham was not included on the combined Great Britain Olympic team. What do you think of that move?
I think it's a big mistake. You look at this move and the decision, there's a political aspect to it. What he did to bring the Olympics to London, what he's done for soccer in England and in Great Britain is so huge that you'd think he'd make it. But it can't only be a political decision. So the soccer side of things, he is still a world-class soccer player. He still brings so much to that team. And even if he's not going to play every game, what David Beckham brings to your locker room is so important to the success of that team. They missed this one, a terrible mistake.
Second half is approaching very quickly. This fall, TV's newest doctor is coming to your screen, providing great quality medical care as long as you're not human. Animal Practice is coming Wednesdays this fall to NBC. 1-0 at the half between USA and Canada. Second half from Rio Tinto Stadium in Utah next.
You have been watching the U.S. Soccer Halftime Report, presented by Century 21 on
USA leads Canada by a 0-0 here at Rio Tinto Stadium on a beautiful cloudless day in Sandy, Utah, and a plethora of substitutes about to come into the game for the United States. Number 10 is Carly Lloyd. She'll come in as an attacking substitution for Shannon Botts. Heather Mitts, number 2, is a fullback. It's a like-for-like replacement for Amy Lepelbet. Becky Sauerbrunn, number 4 on the right-hand side of your screen. She'll replace the veteran Christy Rampone. There's Mitts. Turned 34 3 weeks ago. Actually married to A.J. Feely, the St. Louis Rams quarterback. Heather O'Reilly's in the game as well, a fourth substitution for Alex Morgan, who came so close to stretching the advantage to 2-0 just before the break. Carly Lloyd, an attacking midfielder, she scored the winning goal in the 2008 gold medal match against Brazil. And there's Sauerbrunn. A couple of substitutions made by Canada as well. Candace Chapman has replaced Zura at centre-back as we prepare for the second half here. Welcome to the game for Carly Lloyd. A foul on Desiree Scott, the holding midfielder for Canada. Another substitution for the Canadians to tell you about. Melissa Tancredi is in for Brittany Timko. 79th cap for Melissa Tancredi, a 30-year-old. Here's Candace Chapman. Sophie Schmidt moves the ball clear. Looking to send the substitute Tancredi. Now the right-hand side is cut out. The early stages of the second half. Megan Rapinoe is on the left-hand side. And just a correction to the substitution information that we gave for you. There's Tancredi for Canada, but for the United States of America, it's not Alex Morgan that's been withdrawn. It was Tobin Heath. So we're just about up to date. These friendlies, Kyle.
A play-by-play guy's nightmare?
Took the words right out of my brain. Little tug on the arm there by Schmidt. Goes unpunished on Bueller, but away go America. The United States, of course, down the right-hand side through Heather O'Reilly. She's a skillful player. She's been patrolling the flanks for the United States for the last 10 years. Heather Mitz. It's a late challenge that came in from Sesselman, and it goes unpunished.
Well, you have to figure when Pia Sundhage is talking about needing all 18 players and needing those players off the bench in a tournament, these are the first players she would look to if she was going to make tactical decisions. You have Heather O'Reilly, who's terrific at going at players, great delivery of the ball, very right-footed, likes to stay wide, and Rapinoe will move over to the left where she's very comfortable. And now you have Cheney and Lloyd in the middle, and that dynamic will be interesting. Who goes forward, who stays back? You think Lloyd might play a little more advanced, and now you have two more attacking-minded midfielders in there if Shannon Box is injured or if you're just trying to be a little more offensive-minded.
Of course, Pia Sundhage told us yesterday as well, Kyle, that there may be a drill to stick around for, which could be very interesting. The United States may need a goal at some stage during an Olympic game in the group stages, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, we hope, maybe even the final. And they'll switch to a 3-4-3. They're on the edge of the area. It's a good challenge by Sesselman once again. And that means that Sydney Leroux would come in for the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes of a game with a very simple instruction: cause havoc and score a goal for us. So look out for that. There's a subplot as well with Leroux initially playing in the youth structure for the Canadian national team until she was 14. She made the switch to the United States. I spoke to her yesterday, a very confident, lively 22-year-old. So look out for that substitution to be made a little later on as the United States go into that drill. But it is hot out there. Alex Morgan down on the ground after a challenge on Moscato, who scored that unfortunate own goal in the first half that separates the sides. No one likes to see that sign, that picture in a send-off match for the Olympic Games. Let's take another look at this car just in front of you.
The ball gets flicked on, and Alex Morgan gets the body position, trying to just get turned, and just falls awkwardly. Gets her legs taken out from underneath her and immediately reaches down to grab that lower leg.
Concerned-looking teammates here, and the trainers have been called onto the field. It's Lauren Cheney and Megan Rapinoe.
Well, they've brought Amy Rodriguez immediately over to the coaching staff. At this point, you would figure, regardless of how Alex feels, you don't want to risk a player like that at this point, and Rodriguez is going to be a very important player to them. This might be the moment where you just say, let's not take any chances.
It's Alex Morgan's 23rd birthday on Monday. She's been such a huge part of this squad since coming into the team. 27 goals in 42 games now. She nearly outscores the United States opponents 3-1 during that time. We hope it's precautionary. She leaves the field.
Well, she's leaving the field without being helped off. That's the first good sign.
But the substitution will be made. So Amy Rodriguez is the 5th substitute. And all of a sudden, Pia Sundhage is down to just one left with 40 minutes to go. Not part of the plan. Amy Rodriguez, 25 years old, an 89th cap for her. Very gregarious character, terrific speed. She scored 5 in a single game in the qualifiers for the Olympics against the Dominican Republic. And the aforementioned Sydney Leroux matched that against Guatemala just days later. Wins of 14-0 and 13-0. And they both equaled Michelle Akers' US record of 5 goals in a game.
Her best quote was when the Canadian fans were booing her. She said, after the 4th goal, I really didn't care all that much.
She kind of thought they'd stop by then. Wilkinson forced back. Rapinoe as energetic as ever. Keeps the ball in play. She's round Wilkinson here. She's looking to the near post. One back, Abby Wambach! Just tried to open that right foot to send it to the far post and didn't make any contact.
Well, again, Rapinoe going at players, puts it in the perfect area for Abby Wambach. She'd already gotten past that near post. It's difficult at that moment to let it catch such a small piece of your shoe to go far post, and doesn't catch enough of it. It's very delicate skill at that near post to pull off.
136 international goals for Abby Wambach, Carl. I don't think she's had many days where she thinks, whatever I do, I'm not going to score today. She always gets in those dangerous positions. 2 opportunities from set pieces in the first half. A header and a left footer that went wide. And then that one in the 51st minute. Netherlands wins the free kick for the United States. Challenged by Tancredi. Ice has been applied to the offending area for Alex Morgan. She was good enough to join us in the pre-game show after warm-ups. And a brilliant character. Thoroughly looking forward to her first Olympic experience, and I think that's a face of concern with the first match 25 days away. Here comes the free kick. Bueller lofts it high and long. Good header by Chapman. Heather Mitz back into the area. Wambach was offside. They're defending very deeply here, Canada. They get back up to the edge of the area. In fact, Moscato is playing everyone on by a good 3 yards. Desiree Scott intercepts. Moscato. Abby Wambach, of course, will know all about Olympic heartache. She suffered a broken leg in the send-off game against Brazil before the 2008 games down in San Diego. Here she is, putting her left foot around an attempt, but it goes well wide. She was back on form, of course, in the World Cup in Germany in 2011. She scored in the final against Japan, so did Alex Morgan.
Spoke with Rick Guter, the physio for the U.S. women's national team, and she said it was just a twist of the knee. They don't think it's bad, but at this point, they don't want to take any risks with Alex Morgan, and she was someone they were going to bring off anyway.
Moscato intercepts, sends it long. That'll be a relief for all U.S. soccer fans to hear that news. Kelly O'Hara. Lauren Cheney, good strength, excellent skill to get away from Scott. Gets the give and go with Wambach. Out on the right-hand side here is Heather O'Reilly, full of purpose. Look at the pace. To the byline she goes. O'Reilly, and it's good defending in the end by Moscato. It's stationed herself beyond the near post to block the cross. Heather O'Reilly playing like she has a point to prove here early in the second half.
Well, Heather O'Reilly's game is predictable, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way. It's a positive. When you're a forward or a midfielder and you know she's going to drop that shoulder and outrun her defender, get to the byline and cross the ball, you are so much more committed to your run into the box.
Fifth corner for the United States. Free header for Sinclair. Moscato tidies up. Chapman. Wambach will allow this to trickle out for a throw-in. Wants to take it quickly. Carly Lloyd. O'Reilly in a central position. Scored a 25-yard screamer against Colombia in the World Cup last year. Rapinoe. Well read by Scott. Says an opportunity for a breakaway here for Canada, but they're not getting too many bodies forward. Although there goes Tancredi down the left-hand side. Good running from her. Sinclair trying to offer some more down the centre. Here is Justine Sinclair in the first touch runner down. Schmidt. It's possessed by Lloyd, but they're back in there again, Canada. Brady's offering some energy in attack for them.
Well, those are the moments, Arlo, where they pick up the ball in transition. If they can commit numbers forward, they can get at the United States. But in this heat, with how much work they're doing off the ball to win it back, it's very difficult to make that 50-yard run to join the attack.
Bueller. Here's Lauren Cheney. Carly Lloyd, happy with a bit of possession soccer here, the United States. US Soccer on NBC is brought to you by the Panasonic ToughPad tablet, Fearless, and by Century 21. Century 21 is the official real estate company of the US Soccer national teams. Matheson. Sinclair. Wonderfully threaded through. Opportunity for Tancredi to equalise. Oh, off the crossbar and in. Hope Solo is beaten. And that is a beautifully created goal by Canada, who are level after 56 minutes. USA 1, Canada 1.
Well, we just spoke about the transition, and here it is. They win the ball, they attack. That's a delightful ball. Perfect pace on it for Tancredi from Sinclair. Perfect pace, and Hope Solo took a step forward and then retreated. She knew she wasn't going to get there. But terrific finish, reaching for it by Tancredi off the crossbar, and they have their equalizer.
From Lancaster, Ontario, 30 years old. Plays her soccer in Sweden for Dalsjöfors. She played the first half of the 2008 Olympics quarter-final against the United States, and that's her 18th international goal, and one that she will remember for a long time. 1-1.
Now one shutout in 8 games, and with the best goalkeeper in the world and the experience across the back line, the athletic ability, that's a question the United States has to ask themselves. Is it going to be good enough to try to outscore teams?
2 substitutions made in that back line. Heather Mitts now the right back. Lapelbeck was taken off. Becky Sauerbrunn in for Christy Rampone. You wonder if the leadership of Rampone is missed when she's not there in central defence. Mixed with the glancing header. Tancredi has Kyle in support. He's the near post towards Schmidt. Mr. Rampone telling us yesterday, Carl, at the team hotel, wasn't she, how she's in charge of all the defensive calls, about stepping up, about dropping back, about spacing in between defenders. It's time for the rest of the squad in that back line to stand up, isn't it? Lloyd. O'Hara gives it away. 1 or 2 groans around Rio Tinto Stadium. Scott. Matheson. One back. Dragged back. Or was she? Towards the penalty area. Abby Wambach still in possession. Squares it. The shot comes in from O'Reilly and it's wide. Good strength by Abby Wambach. It was Rodriguez with the strike.
There are very few women in the world that can take a challenge like this and keep going. Pulled back, tried to make the foul, stays on her feet, makes the right decision, good pass. shot goes wide, but as you said it, Arlo, tremendous strength from Abby Wambach.
Candice Chapman can count herself a little bit fortunate. Good to see the honesty of Abby Wambach, though. She knew she was being tugged back, but her desire to drive towards that Canadian goal meant she wasn't going to go down easily. Wilkinson with the throw. As we approach the hour mark in Sandy, Utah, the send-off game for both of these sides as they head towards London and the United Kingdom for the 2012 Olympics. Sinclair with the cross, Mitz with the clearance. Tancredi was loitering behind Heather Mitz as well. She's having to defend her job, attack the ball, wary all the time that Tancredi is lurking behind her. Waiting for any mistake. Matheson challenged fairly by Wambach. But this time by Sauerbrunn. Found by Kaylin Kyle.
Look how deep
Yellow card.
Riley was coming back to defend that one, and a yellow card for Kyle. Pulling Heather Riley when she gets by her, and that goal gives Canada so much confidence. Now you have your outside midfielder for the United States back next to your 18 defending, and you also have, more importantly, Sinclair getting touches in the final third.
The gold medal match at the 2012 London Olympics will be at the famous Wembley Stadium in London. Sliding challenge by Matheson. Abby Wambach did well to retain possession. Rapinoe towards the edge of the area, drives it, blocked by Matheson. Schmidt. Christine Sinclair, record goal scorer for the Canada national team. And we'll go herself here. Tancredi's making another run. Mitz has been drawn inside. This time, not quite the pass as we saw a few minutes ago from Sinclair for the goal. But they've decided Sinclair in possession seems to suck everybody in, doesn't it, in the US defence, leaving Tancredi alone on the left-hand side. End-to-end stuff here. The heat taking its toll. Rapinoe with the pass. Rodriguez unable to bring that under control.
Well, I watched that back four for the United States on that transition that time, and all four of them were sitting back marking space, and there were no forwards to defend, and they waited until the ball was played in to the forward before they stepped out. It needs to be before that. Before the transition happens, you already have to be close to that forward, because Sinclair gets turned, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
The desire to win that ball. She landed awkwardly on her lower back. She climbs to her feet. She thinks it was a foul. Canada about to make their third substitution. Flick on by Schmidt towards Sinclair. Rachel Buehler with the defending. All the way back to Hope Solo. Heather Mitz. Lauren Cheney. Now Carly Lloyd. Cheney again. Making much progress there, United States. Heavy challenge by Schmidt as a free kick.
One of the things that's happening with Lloyd and Cheney is they're square a lot. Neither one of them are going high, and that square pass is so predictable, and Canada's easily seeing it happen and getting a toe in there and knocking it away.
Sophie Schmidt slow to her feet. She plies her trade in Denmark. Played all four matches at the 2008 games, including that defeat to the United States. Here is the substitution. Janelle Feligno is coming on, 21 years old. She went to Rutgers University from Mississauga, Ontario. Won her first cap as a 17-year-old in January of 2008. And months later appeared 3 times at the Olympic Games. Substitution being delayed somewhat.
Well, what's happening is they can't see the sign, the glare on the board, and I feel their pain. I'm having a difficult time seeing my monitor, too, and she doesn't know she's supposed to come off.
Now she knows. Sophie Schmidt comes towards the bench.
You can see it right there. Any guess what number that is?
midfielder for midfielder in that swap. Almost 65 minutes played. Canada back in the game at 1-1. Buehler sends it long into the penalty area. Flick on by Wambach. There's a goal kick to Canada. This is all action. Abby Wambach involved in most things the United States do in attack. If the USA can get through their group, a tough group, Group G, with France, Colombia and North Korea over the Olympic Games, if they win the group, they face a third-place team in Newcastle in the northeast of England. That could be Canada. If the US slip up and comes second in the group, they would face the Group F winners back in Glasgow, where they play their opening 2 group games. That could be a matchup, a rematch of the 2011 World Cup final against Japan. All roads for the US lead south to London, to Wembley Stadium. Foul by Cheney on Kyle. The US have a 100% record in 4 send-off matches. They're being held at the moment by Canada. They have a very difficult group. Japan, the world champions, FIFA ranked number 3. Sweden, they came 3rd at last year's World Cup, ranked number 4 in the world. And then South Africa. They're based in Coventry, in the Midlands of England. They play their final group game in Newcastle, the home of their coach, John Herdman. Rodriguez, down the centre, O'Reilly available on the right-hand side. It's worked out. Rapinoe is at the far post. Abby Wambach has been thrown to the ground, actually, in the penalty area. Maybe O'Reilly wants a free kick as well. Abby Wambach being told here, I think, to climb to her feet. I was mentioning a few moments ago, Abby Wambach is not a play actor. In the end, it comes to nothing. Let's take a look at this.
It was off the ball, trying to run in the box here, and she definitely gets checked over, and the referee's assistant is staring right across that line. She should see that.
Well, you can see why Candice Chapman has been brought onto the field. It's a no-nonsense approach.
The referee's attention usually is drawn to the ball, looking at the action, and neither the referee's assistant or the referee got a good look at that one, and they're coming back. So the referee's assistant should have got a look at it, but they're giving her a yellow card. Why isn't there a foul at that spot?
Logically, Kyle, surely that then has to be a penalty. If it's a foul, unless something has been said subsequently, and that yellow card is for the incident, then surely it's a foul. Abby Wambach is getting the explanation from Kari Seitz. Kari Seitz is a very experienced official in the United States. She's been refereeing since she was 15 years old in 1985. Last year was her 4th World Cup finals, representing the USA. This will be her 3rd Olympics. She's just left 1 or 2 scratching their heads around Rio Tinto Stadium. O'Hara. Rapinoe available ahead of her. Lloyd, Heather Mitts, Rachel Buehler again. This time it's a foul. Kelly O'Hara was challenged, and there's an opportunity for the United States once again. She's getting forward more and more, Kelly O'Hara. Shoulder to shoulder, Wilkerson just in the end a little untidy with the challenge. So here's Megan Rapinoe, 3 in the wall. Look out for Abby Wambach, lurking on the edge of the area. Candice Chapman is not marking her, interestingly. It's Moscato. Wambach just edges backwards towards the back of the 6-yard area. Here it comes. It's a low-driven cross, and once again Moscato, who scored that own goal in the first half, finds the ball landing at her feet just in front of her own goal, but she takes care of business this time. Another interesting routine by the USA. Opposition defences expecting that ball to be placed onto Abby Wambach's forehead. Here comes the corner kick from Rapinoe. these set pieces, Carl, why not mix it up?
Well, yeah, you want to have the defenders guess and make them uncomfortable. Sitting there and attacking the ball is easy. They've got to shoot out and deal with a short corner or deal with a ball coming to the far post to the top of the 18. That causes them to have to react. You know what you're going to do.
Canada about to make their 4th substitution, and there's 6 permitted in this friendly international, which at times hasn't been necessarily friendly. And shot in the back this time by Beulah. She gets away with it and wins a free kick. Lauren Cheney to take it. Will we get this substitution first? Yes, I think we will. Alex Morgan on the bench. A twist to her right knee is the information we've received from US Soccer. Robin Gale will come into the game. That's a better ball, Kyle, in front of you.
And made the change. No mistake in that one.
So the substitute board was substituted.
That one hurts my eyes more than the sun. That is a bright 5 and 7.
Robin Gale is in. Went to the University of North Carolina. Another from Mississauga, Ontario. Played just 9 minutes at the last Olympic Games. 26 years old. Into the area goes. It's a dangerous one all the way through to McLeod. Nobody got a touch.
Well, that's several times now that the United States players weren't expecting that ball to get past a defender. Just take a risk, get the foot out.
Kaylin Kyle for Canada. A 1-1 draw here against the world #1 side, the United States, would be a real boost for them going into the 2012 Olympic Games.
Well, right next to me, Pia Sundhage is talking with her coaching staff. And they're going to make a substitution and bring on Leroux. And the games before, they had to mimic this situation. Now they really have it.
Rapinoe drives it to the right-hand side. Heather O'Reilly's waiting. Sesselman is there to defend. Early cross this time towards the back post towards Rosbach. But McLeod has been dominant in the air. Well, that collided with the post. Why she has to apply ice after every training session. She knows nothing less than 100 miles an hour, Abby Wambach. Sesselman, testing ball behind the US defense. Heather Mipps rolls it comfortably back to Hope Solo. Sauerbrunn, Beulah.
Pia Sundhage right to my left right now is waving her arm in a circular motion as if to say, let's get it going, let's move the ball faster.
Megan Rapinoe following orders. She's penalised there by the referee. Frustration growing at Rio Tinto Stadium. Evidence to this a few moments ago. The cross was from O'Reilly.
I think that's a testament to how tough she is. That would have kept plenty of players on the ground for a while. She almost knocked the goal over.
And she just climbed to her feet. She came over to the touchline to your left-hand side momentarily, didn't she, Kyle? Whether something was sprayed on there or some ice applied very briefly, but she was back on the field. Absolutely no problem at all. As I say, she only knows one way to play this game. Rapinoe. Rodriguez beat by the bounce. Moscato. Matheson. Nice skill from Matheson, fouled by Carly Lloyd. Struggling for confidence at the moment, according to Pia Sundhage. Carly Lloyd.
Well, it's a difficult job for Pia Sundhage. You have a player with so much experience, so much talent, that has been a starter for so long, and now you have to make sure that you find a way to keep her engaged, help her buy into the fact that she's not a starter anymore. She's going to come off the bench.
29 years old, Carly Lloyd. 135 appearances now for the US, 36 goals, and that memorable winning goal in 2008. 96th minute against Brazil in Beijing, an angled drive with the left foot from outside the penalty area. It was all that separated the sides at the end of 2 hours of soccer, and it was goal to the United States. A new impact role for her now off the bench. Wambach. Put some pressure on Robbie Gale, hacking at the ankles. Gale steadfast. Brady plays it through towards Christine Sinclair. She's got there ahead of Bueller. Christine Sinclair, the record goal scorer for Canada, drives at Bueller, back defending well. Rapinoe spots space in the midfield. Challenged though by Gale, who's been extremely combative since coming onto the field. Rapinoe won't be denied. In the end, it's Matheson who gets a toe in. Rapinoe comes back and wins the ball back. Heather O'Reilly. Infield to Rodriguez. Good first touch. Left-footed drive is too high. Now this is exciting. Sydney Leroux is about to come into the game. I wonder if the United States will go to that 3-4-3 formation as they chase a goal. This is what they could face, isn't it, in the Olympic Games? I
just saw Leroux communicate to the team. 3 fingers up, 4 fingers, 3 fingers. They're going to that 3-4-3. And that's a lot of pace up top. I asked Leroux if they've ever tested the speed on this team, and she knows where she is in the depth chart. You have Rempone, you have Alex Morgan, and she says, you know, we've never done it, but I've got wheels too.
She says she's faster with the ball, didn't she? She loves this impact role, but defending to do here. Successfully by Heather Mitts. Sydney Leroux told us yesterday on this impact role that she's got. She's only 22 years of age. She'll be a future starter for sure. And she says, it's my time to shine. I'm expected to make a difference. She said she deals with pressure well. She'll run around for as long as she needs to in this role. She says she lives for these moments. Ascendancy at the moment, possession-wise, here late on in the second half. Matheson on the edge of the area. Brady with the challenge.
And one thing Pia Sundhage's yelling to Leroux is stay high, Sid. We want you to be on that back line and use your pace.
First touch for Leroux. Away she goes. Throw into Canada, though. She has a tattoo on one of the arms, Carl. I forget which one. Is it the right arm?
Right arm.
We asked her about it yesterday. The inscription. And it says, what you do speaks so loud, I cannot hear what you say. She's somebody that appreciates actions over words, I think it's fair to say. Rapinoe. Carly Lloyd. Blocked by Desiree Scott, who's covered all manner of ground. She's on the ground now. Brady forward towards Sinclair. Foot race here. Sauerbrunn there first. Just looking for a bit of support. Down the left-hand side she goes. Karen Chaney. Space here for Rapinoe. She can turn and attack it. But Desiree Scott is still down, and sportingly, Abby Wambach was immediately pointing to Megan Rapinoe, telling her to put the ball out of play so she can receive some attention.
Well, Scott's been important to the second half performance for Canada. She's stepped up. She's made it difficult for the United States midfield to play. Instead of marking the space, she's covered that ground and done a great job.
Once again, players flocking to the sideline to take on some much-needed fluids. Rapinoe has been all action today. United States since the World Cup final against Japan, that 2-2 draw, the heartbreaking defeat on penalties, 14-1-3. They are a team in form. They've outscored opponents 71-9 before today. Abby Wambach all smiles despite the bruises. It's hard when it's in both legs, isn't it, Carl?
And then it just creeps up and takes over.
And animated John Herdman.
Nothing's worse than a cramp where you know you're not hurt, but your body's just saying, you need to sit down.
It's just getting out of bed in the morning for me these days.
You and I both.
Herdman said that the 2011 World Cup was an abomination for Canada. He's instilled this new culture. He calls it inclusive empowerment and ownership. He uses a lot of evidence, a very analytical approach as Scott is taken to the sideline under her own steam. He said the previous coach of the national team, the team found it easy to blame her. She was something of an autocrat, apparently. All he wants in the Olympic Games for Canada is for the individuals to achieve personal bests, to play as good if not better than they've ever done. He made the point that Canada haven't beaten a team that's ranked higher than them in a major tournament since 2003, so quite where the lofty expectations came before the World Cup in 2011. I don't think he's sure, but
we talked about a triangle, his philosophy, and that triangle is education, performance, and enjoyment, making sure that these players have equity in their own success and enjoy it. One thing he did in training the other day is he moved the formation around a little bit. He played a 4-3-3, played a 4-4-2, and at some point in this game, you wonder what their strategy is. Do they think to themselves, if this is a tournament, we want to get to overtime where the odds are more in our favor, or do we try to win this in regulation and get that confidence before a big tournament?
12 of the 2008 squad have made the 18-strong squad for 2012. 6 of them have a 100 international caps or more for Canada. The last match, a decent scout for them. May the 30th, they beat China by 1-0. They've been at a residency camp preparing for the games in Vancouver. O'Reilly, all action. Lloyd. Lauren Cheney, step over, didn't fool Scott, who may want to sit down, but she's got an awful lot more work to do. That was a great block tackle. Zakrady, the goal scorer. Another diagonal ball. Heather Mitts read that one, though, before it could get through to Foligno, and another one again. Scott collects the ball. Here's Matheson. 3 blue shirts ahead of her. Followed by Carly Lloyd. Matheson goes towards the byline. Low ball comes in.
A game like this, Harlow, truly shows you the athletic dominance of the U.S. women's team. When it's hot and both teams are tired, there isn't much of an edge there. Both teams struggling to get up and down the field. The United States normally outrun teams, overpower teams, and right now, when they're both tired, it's hot, the legs are heavy. Canada's doing a good job of forcing the United States out of their rhythm.
Moscato clears. Out of play, though. She's disappointed with herself. Opportunity and something to build on here for the United States as we are well into the final 10 minutes here. 1-1 the score. Rio Tinto Stadium in Sandy, Utah. The send-off match before both sides head to London and the Olympic Games. Cross towards the back post. I was interested in that briefly. But it goes across or over the top. There's Amy Rodriguez. The US will fly to the UK on July the 10th, where they'll continue their training camp. Then it's to Glasgow, Scotland on July the 17th, 8 days before that opener against France at Hampden Park, a famous old stadium, capacity around 51,000, the national stadium for soccer in Scotland. France are the opponents. Rapinoe won't be able to corral that ball, throw into the Canadians. So we approach the final 7 minutes here. It was Moscato's own goal in the 15th minute that gave the USA half-time lead. Zakrady the 57th. It's made it 1-1 here. Rapinoe. Cheney against box the space. Will go from long range. It's not a bad effort. A yard or two over the crossbar. From fully 25, perhaps even 30 yards.
A great effort here. She picks her head up, no one putting pressure on, and from deep out, hits that one, and Cloud looks to have it covered, but it threatens that top corner of her net.
The USA in that 3-4-3 formation as Pia Sundhage warned us yesterday, chasing a late goal. Replicating situations they'll find in the Olympic Games.
And you just saw there that statistic of Cheney leading the team in assists, and you know, that's one question that needs to be asked, is when Carly Lloyd comes out there in this second half, Cheney hasn't gone forward as much. She hasn't gotten into the areas that she makes the biggest difference. So she's not going to be that one. Carly Lloyd has to. She has that ability as well to get assists and bring players into the game.
Sauerbrunn from St. Louis, Missouri, 27 years old. Rapinoe. Cheney. Lloyd. Nicely worked out, Rapinoe. Cross comes in, opportunity here, Wambach is there, Abby Wambach, and a chance and a goal! She's onside! Amy Rodriguez puts the United States into a 2-1 lead. The Canadians are looking for the flag, it hasn't arrived, and it's another goal for Amy Rodriguez. That is a reference to what I told you earlier, that goal celebration. It was 34 degrees here in March 2010 when they beat Mexico in the snow. Today, 95 plus, and could this be the winning goal?
Well, and instead of snow angels, they've got sun angels, and it's all about Abby Wambach getting in dangerous areas. Terrific delivery off the left foot of Megan Rapinoe. Comes down, a little lucky deflection, back heel from Wambach. You have to be in the right place at the right time for luck to be in your favor. Abby Wambach doesn't know much about it. Drops to Rodriguez and makes no mistake about it.
A 25th international goal for Rodriguez. And there are the Snow Angels. Not often you play the same venue twice, and there's over a 60-degree difference. Final substitution made by Canada. Scored her first international goal in 2008 against Canada. Chelsea Stewart is onto the field for the visitors.
Great running there from LaRue. Ran right past my podium, and she was moving.
Wambach. Rodriguez again. Rapinoe. Low into the area. Carl gets it clear, and as far as Cheney. I think they can sense something here, and that tactic 3-4-3, remember, to get a late goal in the Olympic Games, well, it's worked.
It's worked twice now, 2 times in a row. Worked against Japan, it's worked here.
Matheson has got a handful of Rapinoe's jersey. Play on, says the referee. Becky Sauerbrunn. Here's Heather Mix. She missed the World Cup with a knee injury herself. Played all 120 minutes against Brazil in a gold medal match in 2008. An experienced campaigner, LaRue, look at her go. She can't keep that in play, though, despite a monumental effort. He's left a Canadian defender on the ground. Moscato.
What a weapon this is. To have pace like this. To bring that off the bench when defenders are tired is a very dangerous weapon.
14th cap internationally for Sydney Leroux. Resides in Los Angeles, and she says, look, I got a bad reception in Canada north of the border during those qualifiers in January. It's not as if I switched sides last week. It was when she was 14 years old. Low shot comes in from Trouble Hope Solo.
We compared it to Teal Bunbury. She said, Teal even told Canada I was going to play for you. He didn't get as hard of a time.
She's the only member of this Olympic squad that wasn't at the World Cup last year. She scored 7 international goals. She was born in Surrey, British Columbia. Her mother is Canadian. Here comes Rodriguez. One back to her left-hand side. Abby Wambach. 3 US players to aim for. Gale blocks the attempted cross. They'll trickle out for a corner. 7th of the match for the United States. Final 90 seconds of the 90 minutes. Looking to maintain their 100% record in send-off matches before the Olympic Games. Crowd urging a 3rd goal. Wambach and Moscato once again beyond the far post. Wambach's taking a real run at this from just about the edge of the area. She inches towards goal and is taken short. Cheney. Towards the back post. Carly Lloyd was there. Candice Chapman trying to get the ball clear. Lloyd battling away. Still Chapman. Perseverance from the United States as well, a throw in. We await the ball from the fourth official to tell us how much stoppage time there'll be. Rodriguez, the potential scorer of the winning goal. Heather Mix. Leroux, one back. Left-hand side is Rapinoe. And Rodriguez making that break to the left. Sauerbrunn. Rapinoe. Sauerbrunn again. 4 minutes will be added on. Rapinoe. Good play. Leroux. Rapinoe again. One back is waiting near the penalty spot. But this is... It's a good tactic with the Olympics in mind here, Kyle. I know the crowd want to go all out for a third goal, but they're knocking precious seconds off. Imagine this was a quarter-final or a semi-final in the Olympic Games. All about killing the game now. Now they've got ahead. But here comes Leroux into the penalty area. Sydney Leroux. Still Sydney Leroux. Can she get a shot? She does, and it's tipped over the bar by McLeod. Oh, she's so dangerous.
Well, one of the trademarks of speedy players is how quickly they can get a shot off. Gets bumped here, but watch how quickly she gets her feet set and gets that shot off. It's very difficult to defend. Almost beats the goalkeeper and hits the net before she has time to get her hands up. But a good save in the end from McLeod.
Sure was. McLeod went to SMU from Edmonton, 29 years old, a veteran, 74th international cap today. Corner number 8 for the United States. 4 minutes of time to be added on. We're almost a minute and a half into that. Rapinoe into the area. Leroux battling for the ball again. And McLeod, in the end, is able to claim it. Springs to her feet. I wonder if Canada have the energy on this broiling hot day to mount the challenge for an equalising goal. Sinclair concedes the free kick on the far side. Closing stages. Lauren Chaney sends it long into the heart of that Canada defence. Gale with defending to do. O'Reilly on the left-hand side now, having a run at Gale. Leroux available on the edge. Sydney Leroux just outnumbered in the end. She might have pulled the trigger just a split second earlier. Christine Sinclair. Solid challenge by Heather Mix. Carly Lloyd has the ball back for the United States. 6 substitutes on the field, but still impressive fitness and conditioning here being displayed by the United States. Heather O'Reilly running at Gale, who retreats to the penalty area. O'Reilly gets the crossover and is headed clear by Moscato. That might have come off O'Reilly last. Yes, it has. It's a throw-in to Canada. Such a dangerous player.
I got to play with Heather O'Reilly in a charity match one time, and she has wheels, and she can take players on. She has skill, and one of the best parts about her is it's a very simple move to get by players. She doesn't overcomplicate the game.
Did that game finally send you into retirement?
That was the last performance. I put the shoes away after that.
Long-range effort from Chaney is over the bar. That could be the last effort on goal in this match. Heather O'Reilly's been playing for the United States since she was 17 years old. The final 30 seconds. Beyond that, will be at the discretion of Kari Sykes, the referee. John Herdman will take his charges to London for the Olympic Games. Only the second time for Canada. One back. Lofts it over the top. O'Reilly can't get there. And that'll do it. Wilson Hager looks reasonably happy. Amy Rodriguez with the winning goal. They were pushed in the second half. Hope Solo, a great save in the first half, beaten in the second. But as we send them off to London, the USA have beaten Canada by 2-1.
Go to NBCOlympics.com and see Megan Rapinoe talk London, the hair, the pop culture, and much more. Go to NBCOlympics.com to learn more. So USA sends the home fans home happy with a 2-1 win over Canada and are sent off to the Olympics on a winning note. Amy Rodriguez scoring the game winner for USA in the 85th minute. Coming up next, it's U.S. Olympic gymnastics trials. For Arlo White and Kyle Martino, I'm Russ Thaler saying so long from Salt Lake City. You've been watching an international friendly between the United States and Canada presented by Panasonic ToughPad. We'll see USA and the rest of the American teams at the Olympics. Enjoy the gymnastics trials.